Hello there, you're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We'll also be continuing our director analysis on David Fincher. Many years after our first analysis, we will revisit Seven, and we will discuss his directorial debut, Alien 3, and his 2014 thriller, Gone Girl, for the
And to
very
help us
first time.
do that, resident Fincher fangirl Lillian Snyder returns to the show
Woo, that's me. I'm back
with her
with a
Dino
vengeance.
Nuggies.
I am eating dino nuggies.
We don't have any news for this week because we are going to be talking about the Golden Globes sometime later this week, but we will be doing our box office breakdown for January 3rd to January 5th. Coming in first, Mufasa with
Oh, really?
23.8 million.
Indeed, it was able to win the weekend, beating out Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which made
No.
21.2 million. But finally, after 2 weeks, it could not outrun the lion. It has fallen to the king.
Fallen is a bit of an extreme term. I mean, it was still killing Mufasa for 3 weeks.
For 2 weekends, but on
All right,
Christmas
buddy.
Day, Mufasa did beat out Sonic, and then New Year's Day too, it did as well. So it was a weird thing. It was like the weeks Mufasa was winning, but the weekends Sonic came out on top, and now it's
Because
flipped.
all the
But it's
homies
still
want to
close.
party with Sonic on the weekend.
So true, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's
In
still very close, within like 2 million range. So we'll see how this battle continues to shape up,
Indeed. In third was Nosferatu with 13 million.
which is massive.
Yeah.
Nosferatu's a full-on hit. It's doing great. It beat out Moana 2, also having a little resurgence, 12 million, bringing its domestic total to 425 million, and its worldwide total to 950 million. It is closing in on $1 billion.
And after that was Wicked with 10 million, bringing its domestic total to 450 million and its worldwide total to 680.
Exactly. So you see the big disparity there between its huge domestic haul and then its overseas numbers, not quite as impressive. A Complete Unknown, the Timothy Chalamet led Bob Dylan biopic, $8 million.
Baby Girl, the Nicole Kidman movie, made 4.5 million.
Gladiator 2, 2.6 million.
Homestead, 2.1 million.
And The Fire Inside with 1.2 million.
And let's do our box office predictions for January 10th to the 12th. Coming out is Gerard Butler's Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. The original one made over its predictions. It made 15 million in its debut. Ryan, thoughts on Den of Thieves 2?
I think it'll also do fairly well. I'm saying above 15 million.
I'm going to give it 13. I think it's going to be under the first one.
Dang.
There's
We'll
just
see.
too many movies that are still doing good out there. I mean, there's too
That's
many
true.
other options that I think are going to detract from going to see Den of Thieves 2 Pantera.
Yes. But all of these other ones are the like family films. So this will be the first that sort of gets away from that. So people might want to go out and get it. Because again, Nosferatu, huge family film. So all the families are going out to that. So all the people that want something real and gritty, they're going to Den of Thieves. And we also have Better Man, the Robbie Williams music biopic. Robbie Williams, of course, the most famous musician, artist alive. Lily, famously, you're the only one of us that actually knew who he was and knew his
Like
songs.
Robbie Williams, he sings, "You win some, you lose some," and he also has the millennium. Because we were born
What,
in the millennium.
what was the first part of that before Millennium? Were you even making noise? Oh, there you go. There you go. This is not coming through. Better
really?
Man, I'm thinking
Dog.
3 million. What do you guys think? 3 million is my guess.
Why is he a monkey?
Because he said I'm not a normal guy, and
I'm
So
a
a monkey
weirdo.
will represent that.
I don't fit in.
Exactly. I think Better Man will make 3 million. So what do you think?
That's it.
Yeah.
I'll give it at least 5.
You'll give it 5 million. I mean, that's still abysmal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a biopic about a singer that he made about himself, starring himself, but as a monkey.
There you go.
Oh, it's Robbie Williams is acting in it?
Yeah, he plays himself.
He's mocap monkey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really not great.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's not going to be good.
Maybe they're going for a minion angle where people will show up as monkeys
Oh,
and then it'll be a big hit.
I
don't.
mean, if people aren't going to dress up as monkeys to see Planet of the Apes, they're not going to dress up as monkeys to see Better Man.
People did dress up as Planet of the Apes.
I don't
Monkeys,
think they did.
apes.
Were you one of them, Lily, that dressed up?
Yeah, I was the orange one.
The
Bullshit, you were
orangutan?
asleep in the theater.
Maurice?
The the chimpanzee. What is he? Orangutan.
Exactly. That's what I said. Maurice, you don't even know him. How dare you?
Yeah.
Nah, bro, her ass fell asleep during the movie.
Oh,
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Not for war.
Sure, okay. I did not see that with you. But for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes last year, you definitely did.
You didn't see war with me?
No, I saw that with my dad.
Good.
I guess it was theoretically possible. 2017, although that was May something, right? So unlikely.
I definitely saw it with Ezra, so I thought you were there.
I don't think so. I think I only saw it with my dad. And I think I saw it with him at Loma Cinema Grill.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, we used to go there a lot in the 2016, 2017 era.
I've never
No
once
more?
been there.
I don't recommend it anymore. I don't really like theaters where you're dining while watching a movie, unless it's a movie that's like a classic that you've seen before like a million times. Then I don't give a shit. But a new movie, not a fan.
Yeah, because people they take full liberty to just talk all the way through it as
Yeah.
well.
I
Because
feel
they
the
think
same
their
way
mouths
about
open munching anyway. So they're like, let
yeah.
me just yap while
I
I'm
feel
at
the
it.
same way about drive-ins. Is like drive-ins are not like the
Oh, people
optimal
like
way
the
to watch a
drive-in.
movie, and so I don't know why there's 2 drive-ins within driving distance of us, and both of them show new releases all the time. And
Is that true?
yes,
When you say within short distance of us, how
I wouldn't
It's
say
far?
not short.
short,
It's like an
but within
hour.
driving. Yeah, there's one called Silver Moon over in Lakeland, which is an hour away, and then there's one way up in Ocoee, I think. But
Mm,
I've only been to Silver Moon, but I went during the pandemic when there weren't new movies and they were showing classics. And so it was like the place to go. It's social distancing, you're in your car and you're watching a classic movie on a drive-in theater. That's awesome. And they don't do that anymore. They went back to their old thing now that there's movies coming out, which is just showing the new movies, which I think is I feel like they would get more business showing classics, right? Doesn't that they're the only drive-in within like 100 miles. And
yeah.
it's like a nice drive-in theater. Like it's a high quality thing. I own a radio, like a working radio, specifically for that drive-in that I bought because I didn't want to run my car and run the car radio and waste gas.
Really interesting.
And
Yeah,
I didn't want to rent their radio either.
I've not done that yet. Done that experience, but yeah, it doesn't seem like the best way to experience a new movie.
Yeah, I just
You got to
wouldn't
try
go
and
anymore.
give the film the best possible option. But if it's like a very much just popcorn flick,
I watched Batman, the
then
original Batman with Michael Keaton at that drive-in theater. It was
that's awesome. I mean, that's an experience. So yeah.
And I watched Superman too with Christopher Reeves, which was not very good, unfortunately.
Dang, crazy.
Yeah.
You didn't like when he spun the world around so
Nope.
fast?
Didn't care
that
for it.
He reversed time.
Nope, did not care for it.
That's iconic, though.
Yeah, absolutely, did not care for it.
Oh well. All right. Well, let's start talking about the main topic for the show, the Fincher director analysis. Now we have done this, the first part of this, many years ago, in 2020, during
Wow.
the pandemic, a few months
5 years
afterwards.
ago.
Yeah,
Is that
nearly
all? I thought it was
5
longer.
years. No,
No, because in 2019 it was still a radio show.
I thought it was in the radio show. I like distinctly
No.
remembered being in the studio.
not
For
for that
David
one,
Fincher, no.
because
I
that
think
was
you guys
that
are
was one of
wrong.
our pandemic episodes, one of the 2 that we did ultimately.
Yeah,
So we had took a few weeks off, and then we couldn't go because UCF was closed, so we couldn't use the booth. So we had to just figure out Zencaster, I guess, is what we had landed on, and we're still with them. So
Shout out.
Well, then we've done 3 David Fincher now.
that's
Did
not
not. You're
possible.
just misremembering.
Three.
You were in there for something else. But you were David Fincher
No,
for something you
because I
recorded.
distinctly remember talking about Fight Club. Because you asked me, you were like, what do you think it means? What do you think it's trying to say about about toxic masculinity? And I was like, they said something about toxic masculinity. And I remember being completely embarrassed live on radio.
I don't think that was on the radio show. I mean, Fight Club may have come up somewhere else, but no, that was definitely during the
I
Maybe,
mean,
pandemic.
if there's an easy way to answer this. After we record, we can go and listen to the episode, and we'll be able to tell if it was recorded in that studio or if it was
If
recorded
those
on our
exact
mics at the
words,
time.
what do you think of toxic masculinity? And Lily goes, oh.
They talk about. I like when they hit each other.
So, yes, it was one episode in 2020 that we did during the pandemic. Was our first director analysis on Fincher, and now we are back. Why? Because it's Dumptuary, January, nothing comes out, and so theaters say, what can we put back in theaters? And IMAX decided to put 7 back into theaters, in IMAX theaters, one night only, not for their anniversary, although kind of. I mean, it is 1995. It wouldn't be the exact 30 year, but that's kind of an anniversary. So they put it back in there. Yeah, 7 was released in 1995. Crazy times. So I went to go see that. Y'all were not there
This
with
is
me.
true. Sorry.
But did you revisit 7?
No, I did not.
What the heck?
Sorry.
When was the last time you saw 7?
Probably 2020 when we did our first.
No. It's so long ago. Lily, what
I
about
watched
you?
it with Carlos. I watched it with Carlos like within the last year, which is why I didn't want to watch it again. It just gets worse every time you watch it. It's really upsetting.
No, it gets worse.
Think
You
so?
liked it less?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Usual Suspects.
Oh,
Sorry, man.
yeah. I just think the dialogue is really corny in 7, and it gets like the more time passes, the more I'm like, this is just not good.
What did Carlos
Uh,
think of it?
He liked it. Yeah,
Okay.
first watch for him.
There you
Well,
go.
when he watches it a few more times, he'll come back and be like, "This sucks."
So let's.
I think the plot is cool, but
Yeah. I mean,
think
serial killer.
dialogue
always
is
gonna
just
be cool.
really, it gets really bad.
It's
Sure.
cliched here and there for sure. But Lily, once upon a time, I wonder
Huh?
if this is still the case. David Fincher was your favorite director.
This is true. I was the girl everybody I was the girl they told you to watch out for because her favorite movie was Fight Club.
Would you
Um,
still say that David Fincher is your favorite filmmaker?
No, I think Martin Scorsese passed him for me a few years ago.
Okay. Okay. What
Um,
made Martin Scorsese take the leap ahead? What movie did it?
I won't say it's any particular movie. I just think David Fincher has had probably an even number of hits and misses for me, and I think Martin Scorsese has far more movies that I think are better.
You seem like a Shutter Island kind of girly.
It's a number. I love Shutter Island.
There it
Yes,
is.
I am a Shutter
Since
Island.
you love
Dude,
David
I
Fincher so
was.
much, you seem like a Shutter Island kind of girly.
That's true. Yes, I do. I have a fond place in my heart for David Fincher.
Mhm.
Still, which is
But
why
at
I'm
the
very
same
close with him.
time, you do not like Wolf of Wall Street.
We'll get to that. Put a pin in that discussion because we will circle back to that. I'm very, very curious to see later on for a movie we'll talk about later. But it is fascinating to hear that you're a Martin Scorsese fan now. And
Well, I was always a fan. I think he just
well, yeah, but now
more
he's
of my
your
favorite.
top dog, which is a great pick for sure. But going back to Fincher, when you think of a Fincher film, again, what are you anticipating? Like, what comes to mind? What do you associate with Fincher that made him stand out so much for you once upon a time as your favorite director? And of course, now you still have a solid admiration for him in many of his movies. So, what's about Fincher sticks out?
I mean, I think this is gonna sound so pretentious. But you know, when you're a teenager, you're like, wow, this is just so smart. This is just like you really gotta like you're invested, you're involved, and you're thinking about like how all the little pieces come together. Um, so like I really, really liked Zodiac. I still really like Zodiac.
Classic.
Um, and you know, Seven too, and Fight Club especially. I was like, these are just like very well thought
This
out
is cinema.
movies. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna sound pretentious, but
Yeah, I
especially
do
when you're a
that.
teenager, I think it's like, wow, there are things to think about besides like what just happened, which I think is a pretty childish, interpretation. But I was a child, and that's when he was my favorite.
Yeah, I want you to know that I do that all the time. Where I go to like make a point on this show, and then I'll stop myself and I'll go, "This is gonna sound really douchey. This is gonna sound really really pretentious and really really douchey." But I stand by it, and then I'll still say what I was gonna say.
Exactly. Commit, go all the way, and it's fine.
But like
Again,
I'm aware it's gonna sound douchey. But I see your point. I mean, it is like, especially when you're younger and very impressionable, it is like a significant step up from movies, especially American movies that maybe we're used to growing up, and it is edgier in a lot of ways, which is appealing. But it's
Hmm.
still like trying to say something, and it's still very well thought out and intelligent. It feels like David Fincher movies lean in that direction. So I think I definitely agree with what you're trying to say.
gotcha. What about for you, Dylan? What sticks out with Fincher? Like when you're going into a Fincher film, what are you expecting, anticipating, hoping for?
I'm expecting really, really good sound design. I think he always nails the sound design on his movies.
Hmm.
I'm expecting a very, very edgy, dark story to come out. You know, something with a lot of like angst, kind of deep in there. A lot of troubled characters trying to take something over, try to rule the world, or try to make a point. You know, characters who have a very specific purpose that they're trying to get across. You know, that's kind of what I'm used to. I just think I think he's a guy who cares about like his main character being sort of this outcast in an appealing way. You know, you have Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network. You have Brad Pitt here in Seven. You have Ben Affleck in Gone Girl being the sort of edgier character who's caught up in this crazy story going on. You have what's another good one? Edward Norton in Fight Club, of course, classic. Uh, you have Michael Fassbender in The Killer. You know, just examples of David Fincher, just balls to the wall, edgy, very very angsty characters who they're different. You know, they're different. They have a point that they're trying to get across. You know.
For sure. Yeah, he's definitely drawn because he's not a writer, which is notable.
Mhm.
He's not a writer director. He just will pick these projects and sometimes have dynamite collaborations, like with Sorkin for Social Network.
Mhm.
But certainly that through line through all of his works, except for Mank, I would say, is like the one just very different element. Um, he's definitely drawn to those characters that are just showing the uglier, darker sides of humanity, whether it be through their like angst and just how they're fed up with the system, society around them, all that stuff, and then we're just following them along as they try and often fail to reconcile themselves with the world around them. And so, yeah, all of his films definitely take on that approach, and he also loves the mystery thriller approach to like dissecting these characters and especially how they try and go through the world and figure out what's going on around them. He loves that murder mystery. He loves the thrillers. And so that definitely helps, I think, to just naturally structure all of the stories that he's doing there. It gives him leeway to incorporate a lot of tension building, a lot of like suspense. Like that's what I noticed rewatching Seven and then watching Gone Girl for the first time as well. He's really, really good at that. Like he can draw out a scene and build the suspense. Zodiac, that
Oh
one
yeah.
scene
I
in the
love.
basement, um,
Oof.
to
Very good.
this day, still I think one of the most tense I've ever been watching like any film ever. Like
Have
it's he's just a master at that. And then
you guys seen Panic Room?
I have not.
no,
Oh, you
I've heard
should
good
watch
things
that
though.
one. You should watch that one. That was, I think, probably my first Fincher, actually. My mom and I watched it when
Really?
I was probably too little to be watching it. But because it's about like a mom and her daughter, right? And they're hiding in a panic room. So my mom was like, "This would be fun." But it's really funny too. I think that's also something that Fincher does especially well is especially in like these dark situations. I
Yeah,
think
a
there's a
lot of his
lot of
films
humor.
are humorous, and I think
Yeah.
that's something he's leaned into
Social
much
Network has a
more
lot of
as he's
comedy. Yeah.
progressed. Because The Killer, especially,
Yeah.
like it definitely has all those same shades. Again, the way he like shoots his films and his color palette is very distinctive as well. Like definitely leans towards a more muted side of things, but like so much of that is just hilarious. And again, it's because he's looking at
Hmm.
how absurd we are often in our angst and our like frustrations with ourselves and the world around us. But he finds a lot of humor in that. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, it's been interesting to see that come out more and more as he continues. Because again, like anyone, any person that you show a Fincher film to, again, the first things that will come to mind will be that like, oh, the angst, the outcast stuff. But he's got a sense of humor. Like a lot of his films are
Definitely does. Yeah.
very funny.
Do
So
you remember when he was nominated a bunch for Mank and the Golden Globes were on Zoom, and so every time he lost, he would take a shot. He had like a row of shots, and he was nominated for writing, directing, and for picture. And every single time he would lose, he would like raise a toast to the Zoom camera and then take a shot
That's
when he lost.
awesome, dude. He's so
Dang.
amazing. And again, it's like his personality, or at least just his reputation as well as a director, is so he's so exacting. Like he makes people do 80 takes of something sometimes.
Hmm.
So you get that perfectionist side of him, and so you would assume he'd be very, I don't know, like uptight or stuck up and all this. But then just
Mhm.
so much of the tone of his films, again, very much that like angst coming through, and then the humor as well that bubbles underneath all of his films. Just very interesting. Like he's much more three dimensional than I think people can initially give him
Hmm.
credit for, especially if they just know Seven or Fight Club, and those are like the extent of how people view his films. So yeah, I think the other thing about him too, which watching Gone Girl uh, became much more vivid for me, is his handle on pacing as well. Like again, just on a scene to scene level, he's incredible at building that up and creating the feeling of stakes. Um, but just the way that his mind works, the way he's able to see the whole film, and I'm sure when he's forcing every crew member to redo something to get it absolutely perfect, or asking for the 50th take from one of his actors, it's all in service of like him just having this very strong vision of how to create something that is fully engaging, fully compelling, and just wicks you away on the journey.
Hmm.
So yeah, rewatching Seven, which again was in IMAX in a theater, and so again, no distractions, huge screen, like that experience was great. And I'll be curious again if you guys haven't watched in a while. I wonder how much you'll be able to remember from it. But there's a few things I want to talk about there specifically, and then in Gone Girl especially, like just the handle that the man has on his craft, like the clockwork precision he has to make it so engrossing is incredible. Because unlike even someone like Scorsese, we talked about in his director analysis, people like Damien Chazelle, Coppola, like there are these trademarks, like the stylistic trademarks that they have of how they'll move a camera or just certain flourishes that they like to incorporate all the time. Fincher doesn't really have that. Like he doesn't have a lot of these tricks that he'll just pull out every single film. And yet he's so well respected and has so many great movies. And again, I just think that's a massive credit to just how he's able to, again, like focus on the story itself, get that done, and make it truly compelling while remaining somewhat invisible as like a director. Like he's not going over the top and trying to put his stamp on it, and yet it's like a Fincher film because partially the subject matter, again, what he gravitates towards, but just the way he's able to make it so enveloping. So I gained a lot of respect for Fincher, even more than I had, the first time um, we did the director analysis, because man is just a master. And so I'm wondering when we're going to get this next film of his, and I may rewatch The Killer. Dylan, do you remember for your uh, list? I don't think it popped up on your top of 10 of the year. but you were more positive about the
Not.
killer than I was initially.
Yeah, still not
I think I was too harsh on it.
overwhelmingly positive, but definitely a little more than you. I can tell you exactly where it ended up on my list right now if I pull it up.
Oh snap!
Yeah, for 2023, the killer was looking at the position. Oh, it's not ranked, but I have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh my gosh, low on the list. Here we go. How many are there?
It was
Or half.
26 on my list out of 30. So it was almost.
Uh,
That can't be right, is it? It is. It's right at the bottom. Yeah. The
That's
only ones
insane.
the only ones that
He
I
was more
disliked.
positive.
Yeah, the only ones that
He
there
was.
were 4 movies I disliked more, and it was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Napoleon, The Exorcist, and Five Nights at Freddy's.
Those are terrible movies.
Cut
Yeah.
this out of the show. That's crazy.
You
To be
did not
fair,
We
like
gas up Fincher and then we say
everything. I did not watch like a lot of bad movies that year, so like my list is like a lot of like really really good movies. The Killer was not very good. I did
closer to
not.
Five Nights at Freddy's than other things.
That is-
Again, it wasn't like my favorite, but again, there's certain sequences in that were incredible. When we do our little like Oscar special, which we need to come up with a name for it, like our bonus awards. But a lot of the scenes in that film were in there.
Bonus awards. How about the Bonies?
Dylan.
Ooh.
Dylan. Anyway, so yeah, I think.
I wish Carlos was here.
You think he
Say
would have
that
laughed? at
every single day.
He would laugh.
He says this every single day.
Nobody laughs at my jokes like Carlos.
He makes a raunchy joke. Nobody laughs, and he goes, "I wish Carlos were here. He would have laughed."
He
I
would have
don't-
laughed.
I am not confident that he would have.
I'm gonna call him right now. I'm
No.
gonna tell him the same bit.
I don't think he would have laughed.
But anyway, I'm excited for whatever his next project is going to turn out to be. Because there's like a stretch between Gone Girl and Mank where he was just not doing film. He did TV, Mindhunter, which Dylan, you have watched.
Dude, fucking
You
incredible.
adore. You love
Season
it.
2 of Mindhunter, insanely good. Have either of you seen it?
I have not.
Oh my
Nope.
god, dude. Mindhunter is so good, and I'm so pissed it got canceled. I'm fucking furious. It is incredible. You gotta watch Mindhunter. Watch Mindhunter. Watch Mindhunter. Please watch Mindhunter. It is
I'm going to,
it
but is
Lillian,
it?
it is peak David Fincher, Lillian. Please watch Mindhunter.
I'll be the judge of that.
Dude, it is like Zodiac on crack.
Wait,
Damn.
okay, everybody say their favorite Fincher movie. Go.
Probably Social Network.
Social Network,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay, fair.
Lillian, you've seen
Nah, mine's
Social
still
Network,
Fight
right?
Club. Just I've seen the Social Network.
I don't know.
How dare
I'm
you?
just asking. I'm just asking, man. Jeez.
There's a picture of me when I'm like 14, and my mom like got me the Blu-ray, and I'm like holding it like this, and it is like the middle of summer. Like it wasn't my birthday, it wasn't Christmas. I don't know what it was for, but I am like so happy to have received it.
For just being a good kid. You get a David Fincher movie. You've been good lately. Have a David Fincher.
Have a
The best of
Finch.
the best. They need a Social Network 2. Get together. Sorkin, Fincher. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Round 2. There's so much material since 2010 when that thing came out. So
It would not be good. It would not be good. It would be so unserious because the whole story becomes even more unserious than it already was that it would be ridiculous.
nah, I believe in them. They could do great. But
Let's talk about
circling
Seven.
back to 7. So Lily, the dialogue you say you dislike, it gets worse every time.
She's not
What
wrong.
are some things
It
that
does. It's really
endure
sad.
that you enjoy about what dialogue though? Like you talking about the cliche like old detective in Morgan Freeman and then the younger, like more energetic, optimistic Brad Pitt type. Like, is it their banter, their discussions? Or are you talking about later, like the John Doe stuff? Like what is the if you can recall?
It's not like I don't think like the archetypes themselves are like the problem. It just literally the words that are coming out of your mouth. You were like, you say that to anybody and they're going to laugh at you. So it's like hard. There are like points where it's genuinely hard to take it seriously. I can't remember any off the top of my head.
When you
But there are
watch it
times
next,
where
You need to just jot down every time you cringe at a line, just write
Yeah.
it down.
I think I did the last time. Let me see.
She can dig through her
It's a
phone
lot of it is
notes app.
Brad Pitt's lines. Um, some of them just do not hold up.
Yeah, Brad Pitt's lines, if I recall correct. I mean, I could just pull up the quotes on IMDb from Seven and see what I can dig up here that might be a little cringe. But I do recall thinking that the dialogue is on the weaker end. Ryan, you saw it like 2 days ago, or a few days ago, I should say.
Yeah, do you
Mhm.
disagree?
Not necessarily. I think there's some like cliched
Is
lines.
there any you recall?
No, because that part didn't like stick out to me. It never took me out of the film to the point where I'm
Mm.
like, oh, like that's just so bad. And then I think there's enough that's solid, especially later in the film. Again, like the whole John Doe stuff and their like arguments with each other there. I think like works well enough. Um, so yeah, that never was a huge issue for me. And the beginning and end of the films, like those were very vivid in my mind. The middle portion, I'd forgotten so much of that. So rediscovering the whole chase sequence was
Mm. That's very good.
that was pretty incredible. Again, very
Hmm.
tense, even though again I know like how things end up and everything, but it was that was great to see. Also Howard Shore on the score, it's going insane. It was beautiful. And then when they actually enter John Doe's apartment after that whole chase and everything, and they're slowly just going through that space, and then Brad Pitt enters the photo lab. Like all of that, just again the tension, the way that the dread was able to build up throughout all of it was so effective, so well done. So yeah, those parts stuck out to me the most this time around. Um, and then I was also particularly examining Somerset's character arc, like the change that he goes through, and how we get to again. I guess we haven't seen Seven. Spoilers. How we get to the end, where after seeing essentially John Doe win, at least in the way that he had wanted to set things up, where
What's in the
he was
box?
envy
What's
and
in the
would get killed, and then yeah,
box?
Brad Pitt uh,
Become Brad.
becomes vengeance, becomes wrath, and so once that happens, again, Somerset this whole time was like, "This city sucks. Everything sucks. I want to leave. I don't like it here anymore. Um, I don't believe in people. Like it just doesn't work." Again, he's the pessimist to Brad Pitt's younger optimism. Um, and then yeah, Brad Pitt gets eaten up and spat out by this city in the most brutal way possible. And Somerset defiantly at the end is like, "I'll be around. Like I'm going to stick around." And then that quote from Hemingway of "the world's a fine place and it's worth fighting for." I agree with the second part. So he does still like decide to dedicate himself to fighting for the world and not fully disconnecting and not embracing the apathy that he was like criticizing most people for having earlier on. And so I was like, where do we get to that point where he's able to do that? And so I was going to ask you guys this, but since you haven't seen the film in 5 years, Dylan, I don't think you'd be able to
Hang on now.
conjure it up.
I have a pretty good memory. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, where you think that mindset switch happened? Because you would think for any other character, like, if you're already apathetic, already on the way out, and then you just see this like most brutal possible killing you could imagine of
Yeah,
this
probably when
younger
you see
cop.
Gwyneth Paltrow's decapitated head. I
Yeah,
think.
but
I
that
think
would
that.
that would entice you to, or not entice you,
Yeah.
but that would just incite you to unplug further, not be like, I love this job.
I know. I'm
Like,
joking. I think.
Yeah.
I think it has to do not at a specific point, if I recall correctly, but simply seeing, like you said, the city spit up Brad Pitt and chew him out so badly, or chew him up and spit him out so bad.
spit on him and eat him out. Whoa! No wonder he wants to stay in the city. God damn.
Watching that happen to like this person that you were like working with, this young guy, seeing something like that is so horrible. I think that's where that perspective comes from of like, we need people to keep fighting the good fight, because if we all give up, this happens to everybody, and this can't happen to anybody again. This is horrible. you know, I think that's where that change happens for him.
Gotcha.
Poor
Yeah,
Gwyneth Paltrow, man.
yeah, she did not end up well. But hey, we don't see her head in the box, so she didn't have to sit there while they did the cast mold for her head and stuck it in a box. Um, I think that like enough on its own, I think satisfies like why he would have that change. But just one thing that came to mind while I was thinking about it after seeing it was like there's that conversation that he has with Gwyneth Paltrow earlier in the film where she's like, I am pregnant, but I hate the city. This is terrible. I don't want to raise a kid here. And then he's like, I feel you. I also had a situation where me and my girlfriend, wife, I don't know if they were married, but he was like, yeah, we got pregnant, and I just could not bring a child into this world, and so he encouraged his partner to get an abortion, basically. And so his advice to her was like, I regret that decision. Like I still in my bones feel like, yeah, I wouldn't want to bring a child into this world, but I regret that decision every day. You got to decide what you want to do, but whatever you decide, like don't tell him like if you decide not to keep it, basically. Like you got to make this choice on your own and figure out if like you're going to stay here for the long haul or if you need to get out of the city. Um, and then at the end, when John Doe reveals she was pleading for the baby's life, saying that she was pregnant, and then obviously Morgan Freeman slaps the crap out of him and is like, don't share the information because it's just even worse knowing that she's dead. But now this baby that he didn't even know about, this family that they were going to build together in the city is completely destroyed. Then, that's partly what puts Brad Pitt over the edge to kill him. But I think that piece of information of like Morgan Freeman's like, oh, like she was going to stay in the city. Like they believed in each other. They believed in what they were going to build here. And that was going to be able to beat out, the darkness and grime of the city. I think that is probably part of what made him want to stick around in the city, which I thought was very compelling. Because they don't actually like tie that together. It's not really something that I think can be confirmed, but that's just the interpretation that I'm taking away from it. And I thought that's just a nice like element to have on there as far as his character change. So yeah, again, the overall takeaway there, a very compelling like mystery. Again, the Seven Deadly Sins, just that's such an accessible like approach to a serial killer, and then that immediately like invests you in trying to figure out what's the next kill going to look like, and then again, just mysteries in general. I think we all like gravitate towards that. We want to know things, So I think seeing them try and piece things together is always compelling. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, great actors, so they're always watchable. Kevin Spacey, when he comes in, again, still an incredible performer. So, yeah, I just think it's really well acted, really well constructed. So, out of 5 Deadly Sins,
Which 5?
4.5. Which of the sins?
Yeah. You can't make our
gluttony, greed, sloth, and then
why
lust.
couldn't you say how many heads
envy.
in a box, bro? There's 7 deadly sins, and this is a 5-star rating.
It's always out of 5. Look, we're just selecting a certain bunch.
Bad choice. All right, Lillian, how many heads in a box do you give 7 from the last time you watched it?
5 out of 7 deadly sins.
See, no one knows what that means now. In our 5-star world.
So it's like 4. It's like 4 out of 5. Right?
No, it's lower than that.
Out of how many, Lily?
Slightly lower than that, yeah.
Out of 5.
Slightly higher than that.
Like I said, every time I watch it, it gets a little worse, which is kind of sad. So I've stopped watching it because I liked the movie. But I think 3.5 feels too low, but 4 feels too high for as bad as I think the dialogue is.
I'll let you say 3.75.
Yeah, 3.75 is about where I'm sitting.
I would also say 3.75, but I'm dedicated to the half-star system, so I'm not going to give myself the same leeway I gave Lillian. And if I had to choose between 3.5 and 4, I'm going to go 4, from what I can recall. Lillian higher than lower.
That's crazy. Lily is giving it the lowest score. That's
she hates
Was it ever a 5-star for you, Lily?
Yeah, it probably was my first viewing. Hmm.
Dang, it's fallen
Um,
1.25 stars. Stuff.
that I mean,
Hey man, we all
uh,
grow up, we
yeah,
change, we like different things.
That's true. All right, let's talk
I
about
just think a
Alien.
lot of the yeah. Okay,
Say
that's
your
fine.
piece. Say your piece. It's okay. Go for it.
Speak your
I just
truth.
think a lot of the stuff where Brad Pitt is like talking to himself is just like you, buddy. This is not good. Like when he's at the library and he's looking
Dude,
at the
wait until you
books.
see 12 Monkeys, man. That's just Brad Pitt yapping to himself the whole time.
I like 12 Monkeys enough. Not as much as 7, but I
Sure.
didn't think it was
I
terrible.
also say the sequence where it's just Morgan Freeman going through the library, just researching. Delightful. I love that part. And then it's cross cutting to Brad Pitt, like alone in his apartment, just looking at the evidence pictures. And he's just like, God, I don't know what's going on. Like he's just stressing out while Morgan Freeman's just chilling, listening to classical music. It was great. All right, Alien 3. David
Hmm.
Fincher's directorial debut came out in
I didn't know that.
1992. It was very much troubled. It was like 5 different scripts. When they
Oh,
started filming, they didn't have a fully finished script. Fox had crazy studio interference. Fincher has disowned the film entirely. So not not the greatest film in his catalog,
Not a great
even by
start.
his own opinions. But none of us had actually seen it.
Yeah.
It was a blind
We
spot for us all.
finally watched it all together as a family.
mm,
And
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, it's really bad. It's not good. It's very much unentertaining. It's hard to understand what's happening at any point. I don't understand the character motivations a lot of the time. I still
I didn't
don't
think so.
believe that she could have gotten space lice of any kind. I I kind of hate that Hicks and Newt die because it kind of ruins the ending of the second movie, which makes me very sad. And I think the only redeeming quality is some of the like the set design, the way it looks. I think is really well done, but it falls apart in how they shoot it and how they edit it, makes the whole set even more confusing. I think the basic premise isn't terrible, but they don't. I don't understand the dynamics of the prison enough, nor am I close with the characters that are present enough to really care about what's going on. And I'm the more I think about it, the more I think about like Sigourney Weaver's character's position in like this film series and like the time aspect for it, because it's been like 70 years since the beginning. This is the first movie because she's in like cryo sleep for a long time in the first pod between the first and second movie, right? Because her daughter's dead when she gets back to Earth. But
Hmm.
if she's cryo sleeping for most of these movies and most of the transitional points, hasn't been like a month for her, right? Am I
Yeah, these are
wrong?
like back to back to back.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she's on the first alien ship. She gets shot in a space, cryo sleep for like 70 years, wakes up. They tell her she has to go to this planet. She's like on Earth for like a week, and then they ship her off to a new planet. She is cryo sleep again until she gets there. Shows up, kicking ass for 24 hours, cryo sleep again, wakes up on the prison ship, kicking ass again, dead. It's like 2 weeks. No? 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, I'd be curious of what the actual timeline is because
The
it's
thing
very
is, in reality,
condensed.
though, the first Alien came out in '79. This Alien comes out in '92. So Sigourney Weaver herself has been doing this for almost 15 years at this point. So yeah, Sigourney Weaver showing up on screen, she knows what she's doing. She's kicking ass. Is Ellen Ripley really the person to go? I mean, I guess Aliens kind of cements her as like this kick-ass character already, who's the expert of the aliens and whatnot. Even though to her, because of the cryo sleep diff, it's been like a day since she fought the alien the first time. I don't know. I feel like the time is not on the side of the movies, the time diff here. But also, I just don't understand anything that's happening in Alien 3. It's like not even cool. The shots of the CGI alien running around don't even look good.
I mean, well, yeah,
It
that's
looks
rough. But it
atrocious.
was 92. You can forgive
I
some of those
can't.
things there.
Mhm.
I
Don't
mean,
do it. If it looks
it's
bad,
bad.
don't
It
do it.
definitely
Just
looks
do it
bad. But
around it.
again, it was the age where, I don't know, they're trying to do more computer effects. I don't
just don't
know. I
understand
feel like
what's
that
happening.
definitely wasn't in Fincher's. Like he did not have the authority to make the call on that. They
I'm not
probably were just like, we
saying
need to do this.
I'm not criticizing the movie from a perspective of like David Fincher could have done better. Obviously, he was pigeonholed into doing this the Fox way by Fox producers. I'm saying as a movie in general that was made, it is bad. They are bad choices all around here. Now, Lillian, you had a good time with this movie. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I do not think it is nearly the best Alien movie, and it's okay. It's probably the worst Alien movie, but I think it was a terrible movie. Uh, I I don't know. I maybe I was just paying more attention than you guys, but I thought the plot was fairly straightforward. I thought the character motivations made sense a good amount of the time. I don't know why she immediately felt the need to sleep with Mans, but
This is true.
That was a very
let her have
odd choice.
fun.
Yeah. I don't know why
Um,
they decided to go with that because they could have, I like just have that relationship if you wanted that there, like Charles Dance and her, just let that be more organic. But it felt like they just did a speed run of that entire relationship. Like again, immediately they get together there, but again, they still don't even like know anything about each other. Where she's like, "So, how do you have the barcode on the back of your head?" And he's like,
yeah.
I
"You
can't
do
talk about
deserve to
that
know that,
now.
but I
The
can't tell you now." Yeah, like that's a story for another day. It's like okay.
We'll talk about this another time.
And then when he does tell her, he immediately dies right after that. So it's like they just
that was pretty
immediately got rid
sad.
of him by the midpoint. And I'm
Yeah,
like, we could have spent more time with this like relationship. It was the one interesting like human dynamic that we had.
yeah.
And
But they
obviously
did
we're
the
partial
same
to Charles
thing.
Dance, but come on.
Yeah, but they did that same thing in the first one where, Tom Skerritt is kind of built up as like the leading man and he's like the first one to die, pretty much. And so Sigourney Weaver is now the main character of the story.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously Sigourney Weaver is from the get go the main character here, but Charles Dance is that pseudo, second lead that we think is going to be there for her the whole time. We think he's going to be that love interest. He is the love interest. We're like rooting for them to fight their way through together, and it's like that subversion of him dying. I think that sequence where he gets killed
Yeah.
is the best sequence in the movie, in my opinion. The hospital scene, I think it's great. I think the tension that gets built up is really really good. I think his actual death itself was very shocking and gory. I think Lillian jumped and made a noise when the alien popped out,
Okay.
and
That was
I think the shot of the alien face to face with Ripley is easily the most iconic part of the
mm,
movie. One of the most iconic moments
yes.
in any of these alien
Of the
movies.
whole franchise. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that
it
was
looks
Yeah. Dude,
fantastic.
I saw that frame and I was like, "Oh my God, I've seen this frame." And I like didn't obviously I haven't seen the movie, so I didn't know what it was from. But I was like,
Mhm.
I didn't know that this was something that I didn't know. I
Yeah,
was like, this is the frame. This is when they
this
do
is like
that
the iconic
thing.
look. Yeah, great,
Uh,
great choice.
yeah. But I thought like Dylan was a really interesting character. I like
Thanks.
enjoyed his presence. I thought he had a good, you know,
I think he's an
like
interesting concept that they didn't go all the way on because he's supposed to be like the guy who is rooting for the his boys. He's the religious leader. He's converted them all to be space Christians, and he's like trying to like rally them to uh, stay strong and fight and live because he like he's like the pseudo leader of them, even though they have like the actual uh, Wayland Company prison warden and whatever who's leading them, but he's like the prisoner leader that they've sort of look up to, and I think that's an interesting dynamic. But I believe that he cares about his boys. I believe it makes sense. I just don't see him interacting with them at all the entire movie, and I wish I saw him actually leading them and them looking up to him more, so that I would care when his boys die, even if I don't know them by name or anything, that I would care because he cares, and I just don't care.
very true. That was the other major issue was, again, outside of Charles Dance and that character of Dylan, I did also like in concept. Um, but beyond that, all the other like prisoner characters, I just had no attachment to them. And that was especially coming off of Aliens, where I mean, there's so much personality for like that whole
Yeah,
crew that she goes
I
with.
care about all of them, and Alien, the first one too.
Exactly, like that was a much more tight knit crew, and we were able to get much more familiar with them. Aliens, because they had a like larger ensemble, they had the tougher task of like making us attached to each of them. and I think they did so brilliantly. Like again, Vasquez, remember her? Don't
Yeah.
know any of the prisoners' names in this film. So even Charles Dance, I don't know what his name is in this like his character's name. So uh, that was just a big issue. And then you touched on this, Dylan. I agree with literally everything you said. Like we were on the same exact page about this. So just elaborate on like the ending part there, where they were trying to corral the alien into the mold for the foundry because they're gonna put lead on it. Um, they're having to go through all these tunnels and like close down the doors as they get the alien to run past it, so they can just limit the options of where it can go. So it can only be in that like little mold, and it just we have no sense of geography of
Great concept,
anything.
horrible execution.
Yeah, we just have no idea like how many tunnels are there, how many doors need to get closed. Like again, what prisoner are we even looking at? Is it the same like one in this tunnel that we just saw?
Yeah,
Or is
it's
it
a
a different
mistake
one?
that
Like,
they're all bald.
yeah,
They're all
we just can't
bald
tell
white
anyone
guys.
apart.
I don't know who's who. I think there's a point where one of the characters is like freaking out about doing this and is worried he's gonna die. And he goes, "What if we get lost?" And I'm like, as it's going on, I'm like, I'm lost. Yeah, I would be terrified of that too. Who the fuck knows where you are? Another moment other than that corralling sequence that I didn't like was the first time the alien. I guess not the first time, but one of the first times the alien attacks the prisoners when with the candles. What if they have lights? What is the point of the candles to lead them back to where they came? I guess. But
They did say that, yeah.
why is the candle blowing? Is the alien going? Is he like blowing out the candle? What is?
I think he's just breathing.
Were the candles one by one going out? Because we just see it flicker. The candle actually doesn't go out; it just flickers. So why was he going? Was he going back to light the candles? What did he leave? Why
Yeah.
did he was going back to light the candles? Why didn't he light the candles from where he was? But they don't have lighters, so how did they light the candles in the first place? Because they had to get toxic waste to start a fire. So how did the fires even start in the first place if they couldn't start a fire before that? And why would they use candles to light their way if they don't have an easily accessible fire source? Why wouldn't they use like string of some kind or rope, which they do have, which might make more sense if they're following like a line to find their way back, and then all of a sudden the line gets cut, and they're like, "Oh, we need to find the other end of the line really quickly before we get completely lost." And so one of them has to like go back and try and find the line and where it got cut off, and he just keeps going and he can't find it, but it's because the alien cut the line. I feel like that might be better. But candles. Are you telling me that the alien is blowing air to blow out the candles to get them to? I don't buy it. Dumb and stupid, and I think it's bad. And it's also
Taking
shot
them out one by
horribly.
one.
Yeah, he's going. Tss, tss, tss. And also, like, we don't even see a single candle actually go out. They just flicker the whole time. Show a candle go out, man. Bad
Fair.
editing.
That one's actually, I agree with that.
Poor David Fincher.
Yeah, the
Really
writing
got fucked over
was
on that one, man.
not good at all on all fronts in this. So that was tough.
No,
But
I thought the plot was cool. I
think it's an okay concept.
yeah, in
end.
But
concept,
they
I
didn't
really
explain the prison
Okay.
system enough, and they didn't. They
thought
did
they
not
did.
create a sense of camaraderie with the prisoners in a way that I can understand who's who. I don't know who the fuck any of these people are, other than Charles Dance, who dies halfway through, the warden, who dies halfway through, the loser second mate or whatever, who disappears halfway through, and Dylan, and that's it. And Morse,
What about
who
the
is
guy with
only
the
important
dog?
at the end. Is the guy with the dog Morse? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know who the guy with the dog was. I just know there was a guy, he had a dog, and the dog died.
was he the guy that died first? The guy with the dog, or no?
Yes, you're right. He is the guy who died first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who gives a fuck about him? Cool death, though. Cool death.
It was pretty
You're a
cool,
fan?
dude. Rip to that dog. Barry would never watch this film.
Yeah, dude. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Shut
Yeah.
up, Barry.
Very.
What's the dog's
thing
name? I
inspired.
forgot. Shout out Barry's dog. What's the dog's name? I forgot.
I don't recall.
What'd the dog do?
I wrote it down like 12 times.
You have to go back and search. All right, how many queen embryos out of 5 are we giving this one?
I'm giving it 2.
I concur.
I guess 2.5 from me.
Lily, you
Okay.
gave it a 3 on your letterbox
Yeah, what the hell?
for
Oh.
Alien 3.
Stand by your morals.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.
Have a backbone.
Well, I felt bad after giving 7 3.75. Yeah.
So
All
you
right.
went lower for Alien 3?
Alien 3 is 2.75.
All right. All right. But to be fair, this is one that David Fincher himself has
Yeah,
He
I think it's
hates that
better.
film.
disowned and hates it. So he's on our side. He agrees with us that it's bad. He would probably give it less than us. I know I would if I was him. I would hate it if my name was on this movie.
Jeez.
I agree with him. Like studio interference ruined that movie from what could have been a good concept and did have like decent filmmaking techniques involved. It got butchered in the edit and it got butchered in the writing, and like he had almost nothing to do. I think he had nothing to do with the script. He was just working on what he was given and trying his best to make it work. And I think the studio took over the edit at some point and butchered it, and so it's just fucked. It's just absolutely fucked. They
Indeed.
didn't even want to shoot the shot of the alien and Sigourney Weaver. They didn't. The studio didn't even want that shot. It's the most
What?
iconic shot in the movie.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic in the franchise entirely, which is dumb. But let's talk about Gone Girl now from 2014. Ryan, you have never seen this movie before. Lillian had not seen it until recently. And I have seen this a couple
Oh,
times in the last few years, so I can weigh in on it. Probably better than Seven. Ryan, now that you've seen Gone Girl, please tell me about it. Tell me about what you thought, your general impressions.
I thought it was great. I thought it was
All
so
right.
good.
All right. All right.
oh, he loved it.
And Lillian, what are your initial impressions having seen Gone Girl for the first time like a couple months ago? Is that right?
It was like a year ago.
Okay.
It was Carl's house. Um, yes, because I think
It was like,
was
yeah,
you
it was a
there?
year ago.
Were you there physically present when we watched it?
No, I was not present.
Or was that okay?
I was invited.
Then
I don't think I can make it.
that was the same day that you texted me afterwards, and then I started crying, and then they made fun of me for crying.
Oh, really? Then
You
this
just
was a
remember.
long
That's
time ago. This
okay.
was more than a year. This was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Still, though, I mean, for a
Uh,
David Fincher girly, that's a long time to wait to see Gone Girl.
That's true. So yeah, talk
One of
about
his
why
one of his
you
most
never
talked about
watched it
movies.
when you were 14
uh,
and why you waited so long.
oof. It's one of those movies that, dude, it makes me so sad. I don't really know the emotion, but so many different people have told me throughout my whole life. They've been like, "You
Since
should watch Gone
2014.
Girl. You would love Gone Girl. Uh, you would really you would really like Gone Girl, I think. You should watch Gone Girl." And so it was one of the things where you're like, "Okay, yeah, it's on the list." And then, the more people say it, the more that you're like, "Please leave me alone." And then I finally watched it. I do not like it at all.
What was the occasion though of
Um,
you finally watching it? What
I think Issa wanted to
circumstances
watch
made
it.
that happen?
Issa wanted to watch it, and I was there.
All
Uh,
right.
I don't know. I tried to find my journal entry, but I guess I didn't. I guess I hated it so much I didn't write anything about it. Uh,
Did you do a letterbox review?
no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I guess I really did not like it.
Wow.
Um,
Elaborate on that. What
if you can
about it?
find it, let me know.
Since you are such a David Fincher girly, what about this specific David Fincher movie
Um,
that is that
I
is
think
heralded as one of his best that you
okay.
think is so
It's not so much like I'm sure it was very well made, and I don't. It's not really the problem I have with it,
sure,
which
of
is
course.
fair. And I think this is like the girl version of like Fight Club, probably. Where you're like, okay, if you take it at face value, right, then it's like there are people who are completely annoying about it and like missed the point and don't get it.
Hmm.
Which is fine. But I think because it's specifically like about a woman doing crazy things to herself, I just cannot get over the amount of people who are going to be like, see, women fake it all the time. See, women are liars. See, women just be straight up making up shit. And it's to get men in trouble. And just because that is such like that's the vast, vast like portion of the movie. It is really hard for me to overlook that and to overlook all of the people who will point to this movie and be like, women are liars. You can't trust them when they say they've been raped.
But
It's
I think that's
like
the point is that
I
we watch it and we know that this is so far fetched. That's insane that anybody would do this. That
yeah, which again, yeah, I
the
think
point is
this
that you're
movie was
watching and
not
you're like,
for me.
it's like I think it's supposed to elaborate that you can't make that argument because who would do this shit? Like who would go through these motions? Like an insane person would do this. You would have to be the most delusional motherfucker to do this and get away with it. It's almost impossible. I think that's the point of the movie is not just to tell
Right.
like a compelling story with like very complex characters and very well told like thriller aspects. I think it's also supposed to elaborate like speak to the point of this is just not something that really happens in real life. Like it would be almost impossible to actually get away with this. And the amount of effort you have to put into it is insane. And you would have to be the most ludicrous, crazy person to be able to do it.
Right, which I think again, I think it's the girl version of Fight Club where it's like, okay, like there's a group of people who watch it and understand, and there's a group of people who watch it and don't.
Sure,
But
like American Psycho.
yeah, yeah, it's like I just cannot get past the group of people who won't. And so I like it's kind of how I feel about Promising Young Woman, where I'm
Hmm.
like, I think the style is very cool. I think the soundtrack's very cool. I like enjoy like the sentiment, but the ending, spoilers, where it's
Uh-huh.
like it's just so it's just such like a dreary outlook of life. Oh, it's midnight. That's my
Her light timer just went off and it has now become
Dreary
dark
outlook
in
of
Lillian's
life,
room.
and then darkness descends.
Incredible.
um
I think the pushback on that point just a little bit is I see what you're saying, and I've seen people misinterpret Fight Club so many times, and I've seen people misinterpret
mhm.
American Psycho so many times. My only pushback is I don't think I've actually seen anybody misinterpret Gone Girl or Promising Young Woman.
I would say, at least from what I've seen, that's why I'm curious to hear Lily more about like the people that talk to you about this film, or like recommending it to you. Um,
They're like it's girl boss. Girl boss, gay
that's what I'm
keep girl
saying.
boss.
That
And
is
I'm like,
the
that's
that
I've
is
seen
not
misinterpretations that way of
that I would
people being
agree.
like,
That's what I mean.
"Get
Yes.
it, girl! Like you did it."
I've never seen anyone misinterpret it in the way you're describing, but I've seen people be like, "Oh yeah, Queen Slay for
Exactly.
Amy for Rosamund Pike being a ludicrously insane person and murdering a man in this
She
movie."
did nothing wrong. Like
Yeah,
those
shit
type
like
of
that.
things.
Yeah, which I think is a gross misunderstanding.
That's why I was going to bring up. Which, by the way, Fincher. Not only did he make the prime red flag movie for men, he made the red flag movie for women as well.
I'm
What's your favorite movie?
saying.
Gone Girl.
You're like, oh,
Your favorite movie is what?
why? Why is that your favorite movie? Going? But anyway,
What's your
this
second
also
favorite
circle
movie?
back
Promising Young Woman.
to the Wolf of Wall Street conversation, which I can't believe you labeled that as a red flag movie.
I think
I just
depending on
can't
the
believe
person,
it.
it could be a red flag movie. I think you have to
Because I
suss out the
agree,
type
but
of
you
person.
have to give the benefit of the doubt. That's why I'm saying
Because it is in Ryan and I, it's in both of our top
it's our top
tens.
10. But
Is Wolf
here,
of Wall Street.
I think
especially,
the
even if
point
that
of
is like
red
a,
flags is that you do give that is not the benefit of the doubt. It is like, here is one characteristic, and if you do not explain this right away, this is a red flag.
well, yeah, so let us explain it. You can't go up while I'm talking with someone at a party to a girl and you come up and say, that's a red flag movie. That's a red flag movie. Like, what are
That's a
you
great
doing?
story.
I couldn't explain anything. I just said, oh, yeah, Wolf of Wall Street's a great movie. Red flag, red flag.
You talking to?
I cannot believe that.
I thought that was funny.
It was
The
a
anti
Halloween party.
wingman.
Yeah, but I just you
Yeah,
must have
worst
been talking
wingman
to one of
ever.
my friends, but I guess you didn't know them. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had to explain it. But it was one of
It
my
was,
friends, which is why I thought it was funny.
I think it was Issa's friends. One of, because she's always bringing friends to the
Oh,
joint things.
it could have been Zaina. Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Yes,
think,
because Zaina was talking about books she liked. Okay, it doesn't matter.
It's
any
just
red flag
crazy.
books that if I say something you
Mhm.
In
But
Lillian's
anyway,
defense, though, she does not like Gone Girl, which is the girl red flag movie. So she's passed the test, and she doesn't like Promising Young Woman either.
I don't know that
But
Promising
I
Young Woman's
love
a red
Fight
flag movie.
Club.
Yeah, but that's the guy red flag movie. There's no way you misunderstood Fight Club. There's no way you watched Fight Club and
You're
you're
a
like,
She said
girl.
it's about
yeah.
toxic masculinity. I thought it was just them being.
You did misunderstand it.
Yeah.
You just thought it was cool.
It's like, yeah, I do want to be Tyler Durden. What the
He's dope as fuck.
heck?
Uh, no, yeah. I get what you're saying. I do. Yes, a lot of girls have definitely come up to me and said, "You would love this. It's girl boss." But I think it's like the combination of the girls, like obviously, well, I don't know. I think they're saying it ironically, but I think there are
Yeah,
also
sure.
men who will be like, the girls who are saying this is girl boss would do this shit and lie about it. You know what I mean? Like
I've
I think
just
it
never
feeds both
seen
into each
that,
other,
I
and I just
guess.
don't love that it exists
I've never
in
seen that like criticism
form.
or
It was a
I've
book
never seen
first,
that
right?
point. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
written. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was a
It was
book.
Gillian Flynn
Yeah.
novel. Yeah, I've never seen someone raise that point about the movie before. Not that I could see someone doing that. Sure, certainly. I've just never seen it taken that way about the book or the movie. Uh, I think it is
That is because
nuanced
you are
enough
friends
to
with
avoid it.
liberals.
I think that's a fair point, but I feel like still things like the way that people misinterpret American Psycho and the way that people misinterpret Fight Club is so widespread and known that I think if it was really a problem, we would see more of it than possibly I do. I think that if there is like a misinterpretation of Gone Girl in the way you're describing, is like a very very fringe, super red pill, super incel take that is just not as mainstream as the misinterpretation of American Psycho and Fight Club, which is like
Well,
idolizing toxic behavior.
yeah, I think inherently having it be a man versus a woman will give that anyway. But I'm curious, Dylan, who like what takes have you seen? Like what opinions like from other people have you heard that maybe aren't necessarily your own?
I have seen like the idolization of Amy Dunn as a character, certainly in a way that is odd. Certainly, definitely very bizarre. Uh, I think, I think to your point though, I would agree that the latter half, not the latter half, like the latter quarter of the movie, like the last very bit of it, where Tyler Perry is there trying to defend Nick Dunn against like an accusation of some kind. I think that part kind of loses the message a little bit because what's entertaining to the movie about the movie to me is that that first half is the treasure hunt, the search for Amy, and him, uh, like people being convinced that he killed her, and then realizing that this is a game that she's playing. I think that is like the appeal of the movie is like this cat and mouse game between this husband and wife where you don't really know what's going on,
Sure.
and then seeing her side of it where now she is escalating the game by changing pieces and by uh, ramping up the stakes by including Neil Patrick Harris is exciting. But I think
Mhm.
everything
Well,
after her killing Neil Patrick Harris, spoilers now, I think where it turns into him trying to take her down and protect himself from like negative publicity or anything like that, I think kind of loses traction a little bit.
Well, it's a very small section of the movie. It's probably
Very,
20 minutes because
yeah.
when she returns, which by the way, what a great twist to have in there of her like finding a way back
Hmm.
and instead of like going with a okay, I'll kill myself and set him up that way. She's like, okay, this isn't working out as planned originally. So now I'm going to like complete the kidnapping story and then come back. And then it'll be this like great sensational story of, oh, amazing Amy has returned. And now they get to live out their life together, husband and wife.
Yeah,
Um, so that was an incredible just twist on
yeah.
the writing front. So Gillian Flynn, great stuff there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The chess
but
pieces being moved around is what's most exciting for me.
yeah, it's the
Absolutely.
final 20 minutes is when now she's like back, and it's clear that the police can't really like put anything together, even though there's like some holes in the story. And then the one
Yeah.
cop is like trying to question her about it. She's just able to like deflect well enough. And then because the FBI had gotten involved, they're like, okay, we like this case is over. Like it's clear it was a kidnapping. Because again, who would go through the crazy lengths to do anything else? So he's Ben Affleck's like, I can't convince people that she planned all this and tried to set me up, and then was just able to wiggle her way out of it with the whole Neil Patrick Harris thing. So then it's just like them living together,
Hmm.
him trying to find his way out of it, her being like, dude, how could you possibly like leave your wife who A, you cheated on, which everyone knows about, and B, just survived a kidnapping and was being held for like a month and then came back home. Like, there's no way you can do that without being the most hated man ever. So he's like, there's no way out. But then they have that final monologue where she again is like, you like need to be with me on this. He's like, I do not want to be. And then she's like, you liked yourself the most when you were trying to be someone that I would like. So like, there's no other person that you would want to be with. Again, it's us, it's me. Like, you want this. And then after that point, he essentially is like, okay, yeah. He says to his twin sister, he's like, hey, it's because she's pregnant and I can't like abandon the baby. But there's a clear sense there that like, okay, they're on the same wavelength now. Like they're attracted to each other's crazy. And so that's where it ends up. So that's like 20 minutes at the end is after she comes back from the Neil Patrick Harris stuff. It's like the 20 minutes of that, of him trying to resist. And then ultimately at the very end, he's like, okay, we're going to be a couple.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, as far as like him dealing with the media and like the whole Tyler Perry stuff, I do think that stuff is compelling as well, because on the character front, it shows that Nick is also same way that Amy is. Like he's trying to look at how can he manipulate public perception,
Hmm.
like literally putting on the masks of what people would want to see and what would ingratiate him to the people again, so that he's not, America's greatest villain. And
Yeah.
so he's trying to like figure out how to play his cards right. And obviously Tyler Perry is like in that role of like guiding him in the best way to do that. So I thought all of that was very compelling. Just seeing again those chess pieces move around the board, but also just the larger commentary on like the media and how people are perceived. And they had the whole like the riff on, was it Nancy Grace, like the person on like the
Hmm.
newscaster that would just
Yeah.
be talking about all these like
The one who like
tabloid
tears them
things and
apart all the
serial killer
time.
stuff. And yeah, it would be like, oh, he's terrible.
I love
What kind of man does this? And
my
then
favorite part
insinuating
is
incest and everything.
yeah,
Like,
my favorite part is the bit where they're trying to do the awareness to find Amy, and he's like they ask to take a picture of him in front of the poster. He does that stupid fucking
the
smile.
iconic
I
smile. Yeah,
love
I've
that,
seen that
dude.
so many times before, and I was like, no, why would you do that? Like in context of the film, it's crazy. So I thought all of that worked really well, because again, the whole thing at large, I think, is trying to dig into both again like how people will be quick to generate narratives about other people, based on just a fraction of information that we might know,
Hmm.
and then within context of the relationship itself, how like Nick and Amy, at least what we're told, is like both of them were putting up a front early on in their relationship, and then over time, and as more stressful circumstances come about, like the recession and people losing their jobs and stuff like this, and family members dying, like the mask just becomes too tiring to put on. So then you're just left with the real person, and then neither of them were really like satisfied with the other person. So
Hmm.
this whole thing, this whole like crazy gambit, is like them getting back to the point where they're like, okay, let's put on the mask, like let's try and be the other person's ideal self. um, and that's how they'll survive the marriage, which of course is a terrible foundation to lay it on. But that's like part of the dialogue
Classic.
they have at the end as well, when he's like, we are terrible, we hate each other, we resent each other, and she's like, that's marriage, I'm gonna go get ready. And then they walk down the steps together, hand in hand, being like a unit again.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just think all of that was like really compelling. Again, just the mystery, like the thriller aspect itself, really well done, and that's a
It's
credit more to
awesome,
like the
man.
writing again of like at first you're like, okay, yes, Nick's wife is gone, we need to figure out what's going on, and then slowly you start to suspect, did he do it? Like, did he have something to do with it? He seems to truly hate her. He's cheating on her. Like, he is leveraging like her familial wealth to like have his bar and everything.
Mhm.
He physically abused her at one point, so it's like, well, it's all lining up that he's actually capable of doing this. And then we get that big switch of finding out that she had set it all up.
Mhm.
Lily, the cool girl monologue. Do you know what I'm referencing there? When she's talking about the cool
No.
girl and the expectations of that.
Mhm.
Do you recollect it at all? And do you
I
have any
recollect it a little
opinions
bit.
on
Isn't
it?
it the monologue she gives when you get that switch and she's driving away?
Yep.
She's yeah. It's good stuff. Where she's talking about not wanting to be the amazing Amy, not
Yeah.
wanting to
Do you have
be
any
like
thoughts on that,
that
Lily?
cool girl wife.
From the woman's
No.
perspective?
Ryan,
No?
I
let
don't
me ask
remember
you
it.
something. This is your first time watching the movie.
Yeah.
Did you know anything about the Neil Patrick Harris scene?
No. The Neil Patrick Harris? No.
You didn't because that's like the most famous scene in the movie is the box cutter, and you knew nothing about it.
No. I knew she had like set this up
Hmm.
to a certain extent, but no, I did not know that part. When she was having the like rope tied around her wrist and she was
Hmm.
just like trying to create that indentation and then took it off,
Hmm.
that's when it clicked like what she was about to do. Like she was about to set all this up to be like, oh yeah, I was kidnapped by the stalker and now I'm going to be able to return home and not face the consequences for like setting everything up.
Hmm.
um, I was leaned all the way forward. Like I was so ready for that twist,
Yeah.
and they did it. They carried it
And
all
your
the way
yeah,
through.
your thoughts on the actual killing scene?
Uh, Brutal,
Dude,
really well done. I
crazy.
love the throbbing, like the fade outs
Yeah.
that they were doing in
Oh,
tandem with the sound
it's so
design. Like that was
sick.
great.
It is so sick. I remember being a kid. This movie came out in 2014, and that was like the famous scene in the movie when it came out. It was like this is like a crazy thing that happens in this movie, and my parents had rented it to watch with I think my grandparents, I believe, and I I was like in my room the entire time they were watching the movie because I was just like playing a game in my room or something. And I walked out right when they were about to like show that scene. And my mom freaked out and she was like, "Go away. Go away." Because I was too young to see it. And I saw it happen and I was like, "That's crazy." And she's like she got so mad that I was in my room the whole time. And the one time I walked out was when Neil Patrick Harris gets fucking slaughtered.
Oh my god, it's insane.
But yeah, that
Um,
shit is like burned into my brain. I mean, I wasn't that young. I was 14, I think, but I was
It
still young
explains
enough
so much.
to where like it's still pretty impressionable, I think.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So Dylan, again, you
Yeah.
said you've seen it a couple times. You
Yes.
really enjoyed this film. Again, this was one of
I
the
liked
films that
it,
you
yeah.
wanted me to watch with you.
Yes.
I assume because of those twists and
I think
turns
you would
that
have
come
liked
about
that.
in the
Yeah.
story.
I think you like the thriller aspect of it. I think you would like the character choices that are going on, the motivation. I particularly think you would like the chess game that they're playing with each other, trying to one up each other, trying to like get their way out of it. I think you enjoy a good game of cat and mouse like that.
I sure do. I thought that part was again just really well constructed, and again, like Fincher's direction throughout all of it, and those little, again, those subtle shifts in perspective that he bakes into it, I think are really well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lily. So you dislike the fact that this can be misinterpreted. Are there other parts of the
I
film
just,
itself that you are not a fan of? Like,
yeah. For me especially, it is like very hard for me to separate like the movie from the way the movie makes me feel. And the movie makes
hmm,
me feel terrible. So I don't like it. I think yeah, I understand that from like a writing aspect it is like well done and I hear what you're saying of the turns and the twists, but I think like overall I just hated the experience of watching it. And so this will I I personally cannot get past that. Um,
Is it simply because of like the characterization of the female characters?
I wouldn't say that's the only reason, but I'd say it's a major one. Yeah. I just think it's really just because it exists at all. It is like not to say that like women can never do any all women are queens. Uh, but just specifically because it's something this drastic that people like all the time are like women make this up. They can make it up, and here's an example of them doing it. It's like this is not common. Like this is not
But I think
real.
again,
This does not happen this way.
I think the only way you can tell the story is by making it as insane as it is, and I think by doing that, it's just so clearly fiction. Like a woman would not do this, and certainly
I
if
am
they did, would
very
not get away with it in any way.
I am very very grateful that you feel that way, Dylan.
Yeah, I
It
think
makes
it's
I think
to
you are a
me,
good
it
person
seems like
for
abundantly
feeling
obvious,
that way.
and
I
I
do not think that's true for more of the population than I would like there to be.
Have you had any conversations or run into any people that have had that misinterpretation, like even online, things like that?
I mean, yeah, but again, I'm a woman, so I get
so
that
you
shit out
you yeah,
daily.
so you have seen people misinterpret it in that way.
I mean, yeah, people that like again, simply the fact that it exists in the form that it does is like, look, I have an example. And it's like that's not
But people,
no,
you've
like it's
like
you're
seen
missing
people
the point,
explicitly
which I
use
think
Gone
you were
Girl
saying
as
it,
an
Dylan.
example.
A fictional book,
Yeah.
fictional movie, and being like,
You've
guys.
seen men be like, "Look, they did it in Gone Girl."
I mean,
Yes,
people are stupid. They'll
exactly like that.
go
Yeah.
to anything, which yeah,
Wow.
They
is
go, "Oh,
obviously
she
very
probably
silly.
gone girled it. Oh, she's lying. She's probably just a gone girl. She's
Okay,
probably gone girled it."
that's very
I mean,
sad.
but that's like that's the world that we live in. And again, Dylan, I'm grateful that like you are able to see that this is fiction. I'm saying I don't
Well, I
there is
mean,
a good
everybody sees that
number of
it's
people who
fiction. It's
don't.
not a true story.
Well, right, but I
Did you guys
mean,
see the
you know what I
documentary
mean.
Gone Girl? That was
I
crazy.
can't believe that happened in real life, bro. Women.
Rough.
Yeah.
So
It's like really hard for me to get over that hurdle. So I do not really appreciate the movie at all.
yeah, I mean that's fair. Again, you can only speak to the experience, how it connects to you, and if it's not something that just gels, then yeah, that makes sense. Any other thoughts you wanted to add, Dylan, about the film itself? Anything that you remember that really stuck out?
No, I just think filmed really well. Great filmmaking techniques here. Great pacing in the whole thing. Like constantly at attention, constantly entertained the whole time. Great twists and turns. I love a good thriller that has like twists and turns that I cannot predict, and this is one that has that. And I find it very enjoyable for that reason.
Gotcha. And incredible performances,
Oh yeah, very much so.
like
Everybody.
fantastic. Uh, Carrie Coon, who's the sister of
Mhm.
Ben Affleck,
Yes,
she's amazing. I'm
he is
so
amazing.
pumped now for White Lotus season 3 because she's starring
Yeah,
in that. She was amazing. She was fantastic. Rosamund Pike, incredible.
always.
She, I was looking up. I was like, did she get nominated for this stuff? She
Yeah,
did.
she did.
I think it was the one and only like Oscar nomination that it had gotten, but very well deserved. And she was
You didn't see
incredible.
that was the year that Neil Patrick Harris hosted the Oscars.
Is
That
that
was a
true?
big bit they did, yeah, in the opening because she's sitting front row, nominated for best supporting actress, best lead actress. I think she's nominated for, and she's sitting front row, and he's hosting the Oscars. It's a big bit they did. It was funny with Anna Kendrick.
Nice. Um, but yeah, it's a really solid cast all around.
Yeah,
All right, how many amazing Amy books out of 5?
I'm gonna give it 4.
I'm giving it a 4.5 as well. Again, it was quite a ride, and again, I think it has a lot of strong substance to it. However, yeah, it is unfortunate that I guess in more ways than one, it can be misinterpreted and turned into something that is not, which is unfortunate. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, my experience of it at least, It was, again, just a very solid outing from Fincher yet again.
Mhm.
And Lily, do you want to give it a star rating at all?
I think I'm an NA.
An
All right.
NA, okay,
Uh,
Fair
that's
enough.
fair.
it's just
What did
yeah,
your
like I said, I
letterbox
think
say though? Did you give it a star rating at least on letterbox?
I don't I can't find it. I thought I did, but like I
Well,
thought I had
there's like
something to say.
nothing listed at all.
Yeah, I think I was so devastated by it that I was like, I don't have the word like
Hmm.
I do not have the words to describe how I'm feeling right now.
Issa gave it 3 stars,
Uh,
so at least there's that.
okay.
Since you watched it with her,
Uh,
so
yeah.
perhaps she
Again,
shares your
no,
sentiment.
you know, no shade on David Fincher himself, but it's just a rough. It's just too rough of a story for me to get on board
It's
with.
a little shade. You gave a 3.75, a 2.5, and a not applicable in this director's analysis. So it's a little bit of
You
shade.
hate Fincher is what I'm hearing. So what do you give Fight Club? That's a full 5.
That is a full 5.
What about Social Network?
I really like Social Network. 4.5.
Okay.
Zodiac,
Okay.
full 5.
Ooh, Zodiac is a full 5.
The Killer?
I did not see The Killer actually.
Okay. Okay. Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Ooh, that's like a 3.
Panic Room.
Really? Okay.
Okay.
Panic
Panic
Room. What
Room?
do you give them?
Who?
Panic
Oh, Panic Room? Ooh, Panic Room. I haven't seen it in a long time, but 4.
4? Okay.
There
Okay.
you go. The
I'm starting to run
Game.
out. Oh, The Game. I forgot about that one.
The game is good.
The Game is what? Did you give it a rating?
The game's also 4.
I
Wow,
was
there
gonna
you
give
go.
it
For
a,
the
a
record,
4.5, dude. I love The Game.
you love that? Wow.
I do. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember really fucking liking it, dude. It has a
That's
lot
the
of
one where
twists
they
and
gets
turns.
clotheslined, right?
I
On
think so, yeah. I haven't
the
seen it, so I
motorcycle.
just remember the ending, dude. Is the part that I
Yeah,
remember the most.
It's
But
a great ending, yeah.
the
I
oh
just
yeah, oh you
remember
have seen it, right? Okay.
rewinding it because I was like, why does he fall off the motorcycle? Why does he fall off the And my mom goes, there's a fucking line there. Okay, mom did not say that like that. But she's like, you don't see the
Your mom's
wire?
like,
Stupid.
Lillian, are you fucking stupid? There's a fucking line right there. You goddamn
Just
idiot.
I like literally I just kept sitting there rewinding it. I'm like, why does he fall off the motorcycle? I'm like, I don't get it. Which is why that scene is like now burned into my mind.
Yeah, because you
I
kept
was like, what is
rewinding it.
happening?
There you go. So,
I was like, what happened?
what are your remaining blind spots for Fincher? We've all now seen Alien 3. I still haven't seen Benjamin
Yeah.
Button or Panic
I
Room.
have not seen Panic
Oh,
Room. You have not seen
I
The
love
Killer,
Panic
Lillian.
Room. We
Is
should
that
watch Panic Room.
You all seen Mank?
I have not seen Mank. Thank
I
you. That's
did see
another one.
Mank.
And I did see
Yeah,
Mank, so okay.
it was okay. I was just
Yeah,
kind of bored
it
with
was
it.
okay. I also think it been harsh. There was like one, I threw shade at Mank on one episode, one random episode. I kind of regret it because it did not quite deserve that.
Hmm.
I think it was in comparison to Maestro, which is funny.
Yeah. Have you guys
Um,
seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
oh, no, I have
Yeah,
not.
I
that
have
one is
not seen that.
also you. Wait, I'm sorry. Both of you have not seen it?
Correct.
Correct. It was because
Oh,
I think it
I have
was.
some words for y'all on that one too.
Why?
Like
What?
same as Gone Girl?
No,
Oh,
but close.
close. Okay.
Oh,
Not as harsh, but close.
okay,
Okay.
part 3 will be coming in with Panic Room.
The Game and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Mindhunter. You guys have to see Mindhunter.
That's
That is a
true.
big
I
gap
gotta
in your
watch a whole
knowledge.
damn show.
Yes, you should. Oh my fucking god, it's good. Go watch Mindhunter. It's only 2 seasons because it got canceled.
What did we do on the first Fincher one? What were the movies?
It was
Fight Club
7,
and what?
Fight Club, and Zodiac, probably.
Really?
I think so, yeah. Definitely 7 and
I
Fight
love
Club.
Zodiac.
Yeah, Zodiac's a really good one, yeah.
But all right.
It's hard to watch for me though, because dude, those scenes where the Zodiac killer is like killing couples,
It's intense.
dude,
The
it's
stabbing one
brutal.
still sticks out to me.
Just watching the
It's rough.
couples like beg and like watching each other die, it's hard. It's hard to watch.
Oh.
It's kind
I like
of
in the
too
first
far.
one where they're in the car and they're like, "Do you hear something? Don't you? I think that guy's weird. You don't think he's weird?" And then he kills them.
Yeah, it's a little brutal. I'm not gonna lie. He goes very hard in Zodiac.
He does.
It can be very intense. The actual killing scenes themselves are like a lot for me, kind of.
Dude, I used to confuse, you know the scene in The Departed where he like shoots the couple, and then he goes, "Gee, she fell funny."
I love that scene.
I think about that. I like I used to confuse that with the scene in Zodiac where they're like by the lake in the like
Mhm.
park thing,
Vastly
like in the
different
woods or whatever.
tones.
Yeah. But I used to be like, oh, I thought that scene was in Zodiac, and they're like, no, it's not.
Yeah, no. Huh, she felt kind
Gee,
of
she
funny.
fell funny.
And then what's his name steps forward with a hatchet.
Yeah,
Haven't seen The Departed in a while.
I love The
Are you
Departed.
a cop? Are you a co-op?
I am not a fucking
You're a
cop.
fucking co-op.
Yeah. All
Classic.
right. So we are one step closer to completing our Fincher journey. We all have like 2 blind spots or so.
Yeah, I'm very
So
close.
we'll have to finish
Mank,
that up.
Panic Room, and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and I'm done. I've seen
I
every
can't believe you
Fincher
haven't seen
movie.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. That's like famous. That's like very
Every time I think
popular.
about watching it and I go to like look it up, it's not streaming anywhere. And then it will be streaming somewhere and I just won't be in the mood to watch it. And then I'll be like, oh, you know what? Now I want to watch it. And I'll look it up and it's not streaming anywhere anymore. And I get really mad.
I'm just sad because he was trying to make a trilogy out of it, but then it wasn't going to happen. So I was just like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
granted,
wanna
I haven't
just see
seen the original, so I don't know. I think somebody told me the original's kind of better.
Is
Oh,
that not the original?
No, it's like some foreign movie.
Oh,
They made
really?
it first. I think it's like Swedish or some shit. It's like some country.
Because it is based on like a Scandinavian novel series.
Oh, okay, then yeah, that sounds right.
I just didn't know that they had.
They like
Oh, you're right. They
yeah,
did in 2009.
yeah, it was like very close to when they made the other
yeah,
It
like
one.
was
2
2 years
years.
Which
earlier. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know why they did that. But
I forgot that this movie came out. Yeah.
I don't have like a point of comparison. I only watched the Finchers.
I would like to see both, I think. The original has Numi Rapace. Interesting.
All right. So maybe we'll hit part 3 earlier than 5 years from now for David Fincher.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Guys,
Yeah.
5 years. Don't think about how old we'll be. That's insane.
30. We'll be 30 years old.
No, don't say it.
We'll be in our 30s in 5 years. Isn't that crazy? If I'm alive by then.
5 years and
That's-
1 day. The big 3-0 for you, Lily. Crazy.
Yeah, birthday girl.
Yeah. We are.
Are you guys coming to my party?
Yeah,
You
we'll
know
be at
this.
your party. I live with you.
Dylan's not invited.
Although I did say right, because today she was going to send out the text to remind people to go to her party. I did say that she did not send me a text, and because I did not get a reminder text, maybe I won't come. And she still has not sent me anything, so I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave.
I've been sitting in the living room, like making things for the party for like the last week. If you don't know what's happening by now,
I would just appreciate
then
a
you
text.
just
If you're going
ain't
to send
getting
everybody
it.
else a text, I don't know why I can't get a text.
Then you just ain't. Ryan didn't get a text. I
Yeah,
asked
what
his
the
ass in
heck?
person.
Yeah, he's not coming now.
Yeah.
I
We
asked
made
his
other
ass in
plans now.
person. My bad.
Anyway, that is all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show
You
is
guys got
Sundown by Joseph McDade. What are you doing?
How dare you interrupt us? How
I
dare you
forgot
interrupt
you
us?
guys.
The
I forgot you had
sacred.
a
We,
spiel.
we have never once been interrupted during our closing credits. How fucking the curse has been lifted.
The blasphemy is insane. Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're listening to, and be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much to Lillian Snyder for coming on the show and talking about David Fincher once more. Always a pleasure to have you, even though it's been half a decade since the last time you were on the show. We will see you in 2030.
She was on the show before then, but just for Fincher-related items, half a decade.
I don't know, dude. When was the last time you were on the show, Lillian?
Past lives.
Oh, you were on the past. That was the first time you were on since the David Fincher thing was Past Lives.
Fake
Correct.
fan. Fake fan.
I should remember that too. That's like our most notorious episode to talk about.
Not for the listeners, but for us.
For our private friend group, that is a notorious
We
episode.
paused it 5 million times.
There's a lot of lost recordings in that one.
Release
So we
the
had to
past
cut out.
lives cut. Release the cut.
No,
That is terrible. That's cursed.
I should go back. I do because I have the raw recordings. We should go back and re-listen.
We should
to
listen to
the,
it,
the
dude.
I
uncut
don't
version.
know about that.
I forget what we talk about.
I do not forget. I
Please
did not
remind me.
forget.
Anyway,
No.
have a great rest of your day.
Wait, did you guys get any emails?
Get any
What have you
emails?
guys
Oh, about
what have
it?
you guys been getting?
We don't check the.
Wait.
I mean, we always check the email.
Oh.
Please submit your thoughts, questions.
I check the. I have the email notifications on my phone. We've never once gotten fan email.
Email
Yeah,
us,
look
guys.
at it.
The box office show pod at gmail.com. THEBOXOFFICESHOWPOD at gmail.com. Please email us. We will respond to you. You'll be the only one that emails us. We will send you a personal response.
I don't check the email, man. I swear. At least I've emailed once.
Yeah, maybe 5 years ago.
Check it.
I can't. You probably emailed